Gary, I've always been fascinated with the jobs that actors have before they become actors. Now, didn't you work in a sports store for a while?
Yep. Yeah.
What do you do exactly?
I sold sports equipment. Yeah. I worked in a factory, sold sports equipment. Yeah, I did quite a few bits and pieces. I was never a good salesman though, because people would come in and I would say, you know what, that doesn't suit you, or you can get that cheaper up the street. But God, if I'd stuck out at that, they used to like me in that KG Sports, Peckham High Street. I may be area manager by now.
You've played some great screen villains, especially State of Grace, that psychotic type character. Do you ever get strange looks from people in the street who see you and they're not quite sure who you are, but they think you're dangerous?
Yeah, I guess so. It's a funny thing about being recognized, because people look at you and they go, where do I know him from? And they sometimes come over and say, were we at school together? Or they think that they've seen you somewhere else. But I don't think people buy it to that extent. But I get, a guy stopped me a couple of months ago on the street and he just walked towards me. And I thought he was going to hit me or something. And he just circled me and looked at me and went, "You're bad," and then walked up the street. So I guess that was a compliment. But they won't be doing that with this one.
Okay. I interviewed Eddie Murphy not too long ago, and he said during the shooting of Beverly Hills Cop 3 is when the big earthquake hit in Los Angeles, and he was not used to earthquakes, and it really freaked him out inside the soundstage to have that happen. Now, weren't you shooting a movie when the quake hit?
Yeah, in Northridge.
And what was your impressions of the California phenomenon?
Well, we all thought we were going to die that night. I mean, that building moved, I don't know, it felt like it moved 20 feet. But I don't know about that particular quake. I mean, I know that people were like seasoned Los Angeles and they've lived there all their lives, and they said, I never felt anything like that. So all that 6.6, 7.1, that's all baloney. People were saying, whoa, that's 9 and change. It was a very powerful quake, and I've not been back since.
I was speaking with Joan Plowright a little bit earlier about the scene on the gallows and how that was a little intimidating. Now, for you, what was it like to be up there with the noose around your neck, looking out at all those people?
It's all in a day's work. Well, if I slipped, that would have been it. When she said it was intimidating, in what way? What do you mean? She just...
It was just a little strange to have the gag in her mouth.
Oh, the gag in her mouth. I mean, you have to do some silly things as an actor, don't you?
Yeah.
You're asked to do some silly things. But, I'm sorry. I'm going to cough. Pardon me. Back again. Yeah, it was, I don't know. It was, it's hard in a situation like that. There was a couple of takes where I forgot my lines. And that can be quite embarrassing when you're up there in front of, 150 people.
Okay, and one final question. The Atlantic Ocean is not the warmest place to be. The scene where you're swimming, how cold was it? And did you have to bring in somebody to do those scenes? Because it must have been freezing that day.
It was freezing. I did about 4 or 5 takes of that, because initially I did the first take, and then Roland said to me, "Could you look more like you're swimming than drowning?" Because you are just gasping for air. But yeah, I did about 4 takes, and then you have to kind of you have to sit out and warm up because you can get hypothermia. So It looked very. Did it look cold?
It looked cold. I just know, like, I used to live in that part of the country, so
Yeah,
so
they're pretty icy.
okay, great. Thank you, sir.